Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Put Me in the Game. This week, we're going to talk about the top tight ends in football and why you should draft this position early.
Down, set, hut, hut, hut.
One surefire way to give yourself the best chance to win your fantasy league is to draft a good tight end early. I typically try to draft a good tight end in the late second or early third round. If I can't get someone like Kelce or Andrews, then I wait until the fifth or sixth round and draft one of the next level of tight ends. If you don't pick up one of the top 6 or 7 guys before round 7, don't sweat it. But at that point, you're better off waiting until one of the later rounds and grabbing a guy like Robert Tonyan or Dawson Knox, who both catch a lot of touchdowns. In any given year, there are usually 2 or 3 tight ends that get about 1,000 yards or more. Last year, the top 3 guys were Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, and Kyle Pitts. If you're able to get one of these guys, it's basically like having a wide receiver 1 in your tight end spot. I usually try to draft Travis Kelce, but this year I'm going to target Kyle Pitts. Last year, Pitts got off to a slow start, but he still managed to get over 1,000 yards. The only drawback was he didn't have very many touchdowns. I believe a big part of that had to do with Matt Ryan, who only had 20 passing touchdowns total last year. This year, he will be paired with Marcus Mariota, who helped Delanie Walker lead the Titans in yards and receptions in 2015-2016. Atlanta's run game should be better than last year with Cordero Patterson coming back, and Atlanta also signed free agent running back Damian Williams, the former Kansas City Chief. Losing Calvin Ridley for the year to suspension will hurt, but Atlanta did add rookie Drake London, who may be the best rookie wideout in a loaded rookie wide receiver class. Mark Andrews comes in as my number 2 tight end this year. The Ravens lost Marquise Brown, which may attract more double teams for Andrews, but they will get back their top 2 running backs from injury, J.K. Dobbins and Gus the Bus Edwards. And, oh yeah, don't forget, they still have Lamar Jackson. Lamar will be back at full strength after getting banged up last year, and he's in a contract year. So he's got a lot to prove. Lamar seems like the type of guy who loves proving people wrong. He may put up MVP numbers again this year. Baltimore's run game will be tough to stop, and with so much attention on their run game, I don't anticipate defenses will be able to focus in on Andrews. Travis Kelce is my number 3 tight end this year. Not only is he getting older, but at times last year, it looked as if he had lost a step, especially at the beginning of the year. All that said, he's still a beast. He's the safest pick of all the tight ends, with a high ceiling and a high floor in terms of fantasy production. The Chiefs did lose Tyreek Hill, which is huge. Tyreek is probably the biggest mismatch in football. He always requires some type of cover 2 or cover 4 safety help over the top, which opened up things for Kelce underneath. On the other hand, Kelce is still Mahomes' go-to guy. And with a new group of wide receivers, I look for Mahomes to lean on Kelce, especially in the beginning of the season. Darren Waller comes in as my tight end number 4. He had a big year in 2020, but he took a step back last year. Not only was he hurt, but he drew a ton of double coverage. With the Raiders adding Devontae Adams, he should get more one-on-one coverage and produce at a higher fantasy rate this year. If Waller remains healthy, I look for Darren Waller to have a big year. He's one of the hardest guys to cover at that tight end spot. The Raiders also brought in new head coach Josh McDaniels, and he has a long history dating back to his time in New England of using a tight end position to exploit mismatches. For my tight end number 5, I have Dalton Schultz. He has a great rapport with Dak Prescott, who will need someone to throw to other than CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys lost Amari Cooper to the Browns, and Michael Gallup will probably start the season on the PUP list. The Cowboys did add James Washington in the offseason, but he was banged up in training camp. Dalton should get a lot of targets early in the year. With wideouts and tight ends, the amount of targets on a weekly basis is key. Schultz averaged just over 6 targets per game last year, but I look for that number to increase substantially this year. I thought about putting Kittle or Dallas Goedert in my number 5 spot, but Goedert would probably lose targets to A.J. Brown, who joined the Eagles from Tennessee, and Kittle is just too inconsistent for me. Inconsistency is what gets you beat in fantasy. One last name I need to mention is Zack Ertz, who was traded last year to the Cardinals. The last 5 games of the season, he got over 10 targets per game. He developed a good connection with Kyler Murray, and Murray will need him because the Cardinals will be without DeAndre Hopkins, who is suspended for the first 6 games of the season. They also lost Christian Kirk to free agency. I look for Ertz to remain targeted heavily this year. He comes in as my best value pickup at tight end. The key to being competitive in your league is to draft a good tight end. Most leagues have 10 to 12 teams, and there are only 5 or 6 good tight ends. Having a good tight end helps make up for bad weeks with one of your receivers or running backs, and it also gives you a leg up on point totals. If you are able to snag one of the top guys, you also get the added benefit of not having to carry an extra tight end. That frees up an extra roster spot, allowing you for more matchup flexibility in other areas. If you're able to get one of the top 3 guys, you're almost guaranteed to make the playoffs. Check out my list of top fantasy tight ends for 2022 in the description below. I'll catch you next time on Put Me in a Game.